15.8 million veterans is what the U.S. Census Bureau told us in 2023 was the number of veterans alive across the globe. Projection-based data says that number now in 2025 is about 17.9 million people. 17.9 million people across this globe have served in the United States military and are now considered veterans. This month, September, not February, this month in September is Suicide Awareness Month. So it's only appropriate, in my opinion, that we do some content, we talk a little bit about veteran suicide. Now, what's the number that we have been told for years and years? Is 22 veterans a day are killing themselves. Well, according to the VA and other reporting agencies, that number has dropped to about 17, right? So I'm just looking at the numbers here, 17.6 a day. So in 2022, which are the numbers that they have out right now, we lost 6,407 veterans to suicide, which averages about 17.6 a day. And how are those broken up? 7 a day were veterans who had received care from the VA, from the VHA, Veterans Health Association. So these people were actively using VA resources for care, whether it be mental health or just physical health, whatever that is. 10.6 a day, as according to these numbers as reported, were veterans who had not used VHA care in some time. I want to say that they gauge it by like 2 or 3 years. So 10.6 veterans a day who died due to suicide were ones that hadn't used the VA for any type of care in quite a while. Why is this important? Well, it is important because still to this day, according to VA, the projected numbers for fiscal year 25 are going to be about the same, if not a little bit elevated. And one can't help but wonder, well, what the hell's really going on here? And we talk about veteran suicide all the time. We talk about it at least once every other month or every 3 months on this show. Over on Rumble, on the Richard Leonard Show, I talk about veteran suicide a few times a year also. It is a problem for our community. For the warrior culture, veteran suicide is a problem. And people have been asking a lot more in the last year or two than ever before, in my opinion. Well, what's going on? Why are these numbers not dropping? Why is it that from year to year we see different numbers? So like here, according to this research, the RAND Corporation put out 6,407 veterans died in 2022. Well, what are we doing, right? What are we doing to curb this epidemic? What are we doing to fix this problem? And I think that we hear a lot all the time about ideas and different ways that the government and nonprofits and other organizations that set out to combat veteran suicide, we hear a lot of talking and we hear a lot of ideas and every now and then there's new programs put up and things like this to help veterans with mental health disorders, help them with this and that and the other thing. But the numbers don't change. And I guess I'm not here trying to say that there's treachery afoot, right? That we're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars at combating veteran suicide, but yet the numbers don't change. So I guess I just have questions about what is it that we're doing? Are these programs working or not? It doesn't seem to be, right? And so when we keep seeing the same numbers year after year after year, and then we keep hearing about new programs and new initiatives and new this and new that, but the numbers aren't changing, when are we going to have a discussion in places and settings that are a lot more prestigious than the studio or my truck or my house, but in places that can really affect change? When is the conversation going to shift to why is this not working? And what can we do differently? What can we do better? What are we missing? And I guess the answer to that is the only thing that I can think of that might be a little more helpful, a little more impactful, is to ask veterans. Ask them. I don't believe that 17.6 veterans a day kill themselves, and nobody saw it coming. I don't believe that this amount of people are killing themselves and nobody's asking them, what can we do to help? What might help you feel better? Where can we go? What can we, and of course there's always reports of different programs. Like for a long time, I don't hear much about it anymore, but for a long time, they had said that things like equestrian therapy, for example, was a really good tool to help veterans who were suffering from PTSD and other things. It was a really good tool to help them take their minds off of it. But here's another little conundrum in the numbers that people really don't want to talk about all that much. And I have it here next to me on the screen. Out of all this data that we collected and the research that I read through, it said that veteran suicide, or suicide in general, is the number 2 most common cause of death of veterans. And so I thought, well, holy crap, we're at 17 people a day, and it's not even the leading cause of veteran death. So, of course, I looked into it. I started asking questions and doing some more reading. It turns out, I have it here, the first leading cause of death, and this is, as they say, the RAND Corporation, as they say, this is veterans under the age of 45, right? So veterans under the age of 45 who are killing themselves, suicide is the number 2 cause. The number 1 cause is unintentional injuries, which includes drug overdoses, motor vehicle or motorcycle crashes, and other accidental injuries. So I would imagine that we could probably take some of those drug overdoses, motorcycle crashes, vehicle crashes. We could probably take some of those and go ahead and chalk those up into the suicide number, right? Because what do we know? What do we know about veterans who are experiencing mental health crisis? One of the most popular ways for veterans to cope with the things that haunt them in the dark is self-medicating. It's not a rare story to hear veterans who have taken all the pills in the medicine cabinet, or went out and bought enough drugs to OD, or whatever it is, self-medicating, drinking themselves to death, whatever it is. There's a lot of different causes. I don't know that we could classify veteran suicide only as people who shoot themselves, slit their wrists, jump off a bridge, whatever ways there are. I mean, I'm sure everyone can get creative and kind of understand and know what those things are. But I wouldn't be surprised to learn that a large number of these drug overdoses that result in the death of veterans was intentional. Not everybody clearly has the fortitude to put a gun to their head and pull the trigger. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can hurl themselves off of a high structure and plummet to their death. I think that suicide is a cowardly way out, but it also takes a lot of balls to stand on the edge of a cliff or a bridge or whatever and decide to throw yourself off of it. So what might be an easier way for people to just go to sleep and never wake up? Well, let's take a bunch of drugs. Let's take a bunch of sleeping pills. Let's just drink until we can't drink anymore. And if that doesn't kill us, we'll try it again tomorrow, and we'll try it again the next day. I think that when you talk to people who have worked with this population of folks, you learn that there are multiple ways that veterans choose to harm themselves. And the other part of this is it something that we can beat? Is veteran suicide something that can be defeated? Like, will we ever get that number to 0? And I think the answer to that is no. I don't think that we will. And so some people might say, well, that answers your question. Why isn't this stuff working? And I think that in a certain sense that's accurate, right? I mean, you can't help people that don't want to be helped. People who are in this position, it's extremely unfortunate. And folks who have the desire to do it, the people that we know are going to do it, no matter what you say, No matter what you do, they will find a way. I don't know that we'll ever beat that. And it's unfortunate because these are people that sacrificed. They sacrificed everything if they had to in order to get themselves to this point. And so it's sad. It's a tragedy that veterans get through things like combat. They get through being away from home for a year or 6 months at a time. They miss their kids' birthdays. They miss their kids' births. They miss Christmas. They miss super important things that go on in everybody's family. In everybody's life, there are events that are very important that you don't want to miss. Don't want to, God forbid, one of your parents passes away and you were halfway across the world fighting a war and you weren't there to say goodbye. And, your child is born and you're not there to see it. You're not there to be the first or second person to hold your own baby. You don't get to hold your baby until you get home in 6 months or a year's time or whatever that may look like. And for everybody, it's a little bit different. So just wish that these conversations about veteran suicide in places that can really make a difference, I wish they were a little bit deeper. And maybe they are deep. I mean, there's a lot of conversations happening. And of course, I can't be privy to all of them. But I would imagine that this is not something that we cannot at least fight, right? I don't understand why this is not something we can't take down to 8 a day or 5 a day or that 7 a day. And maybe that's an unreasonable request, but I don't know that our government spending all this money and doing all of these things is helping. I don't want to say that we shouldn't be doing it because I believe that we should, but how are we changing our approach over time? Yeah. We were told 22 a day for many years, for a long time, and now it appears that we're at 17.6 a day, maybe higher. But of course, then they separate them, right? Like we don't include drug overdoses. And why don't we include drug overdoses? It's probably because you can't really tell once somebody's dead. If they've overdosed, you don't know if they've done it on purpose or not, I guess, unless they leave a letter or you're with them and watched it happen and had the conversation, which I really hope is not a real prevalent thing. I'd hate to learn that people are just watching veterans kill themselves with drugs. But I think it's ignorant of us to believe that these aren't intentional, at least a portion of them. And so what is the answer? What is the answer to combat this issue? And maybe the answer is that we're doing all we can. But I don't believe that that's the truth. I believe that there's probably more that we can do. And maybe it's something that won't change until we start doing it ourselves. Maybe it's not something that'll change all that much until we decide as a culture, as a population of people that live in this country, that we are going to go out and we're going to take care of each other. I mean, we hear that all the time too. Make sure you check in on your battle buddies. Make sure that we're staying in contact. Let's do a call tree, whatever it is. But that stuff just doesn't seem to be working. And so I guess for this month, while we have Suicide Awareness Month, we should probably have the conversation again. We should talk about it again. We owe it to these men and women to try to save their lives. And so maybe the answer is that we keep talking about it. Maybe the answer is we just ramp up the frequency in which we check in on each other, because I believe that a large number of us that don't kill ourselves, that don't decide to choose the suicide route, believe that there's a large number of us that have been there. There's a large number of us that understand what it's like when the darkness comes and the memories haunt you and the dreams haunt you and the smells in the air remind you, the way that the space around you tastes and feels and smells, and that I like to call them those ghost gusts of wind or a breeze that just doesn't seem to fit right? It doesn't seem to fit the situation you're in. You just get that feeling, and all of a sudden you're just deep in this hole that's hard to come out of. Maybe all it takes is for us to talk about it more. And maybe this is something that we won't see a significant drop in this number for quite some time to come. I mean, after all, we have added to the veteran population in this country exponentially since the war ended, the longest war in our history, and COVID, when people were being forced out of the military for not taking the shot. The amount of veterans that were entering our communities and our population skyrocketed, in my opinion. And so maybe this number is just going to be what it is. But I would hate to think that there's nothing else that can be done. And so this month, I urge you, if you know veterans, if you are a veteran, contact your battle buddies. Just ask the question, man. Think that people get to feel in some type of way about just asking the question and just having the conversation. And as we know, and especially if you were in the military, we got training on this, right? One of our Death by PowerPoint days included suicide awareness and prevention training. Just ask the question, because if you don't, and you believe that you should have, or you could have, and it could have made a difference after the fact, you'll never forgive yourself for. And the whole time we were in the military, we were taught we are a team, we are a family. And so why would we not be talking to each other? Why would we not be checking in on each other? Why would we be scared to just ask the question? You're going to hurt yourself. That's all it takes to start the conversation. And maybe if we save one extra life, and it was an effort that was worth whatever it took you to do it. So I would say, don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't think that you're going to hurt anybody's feelings. Don't think that you're being a burden or bothersome, because you just might save your battle buddy's life. And maybe there are other methods that haven't been talked about or haven't been tried or haven't been discussed that can really help lower this. And so, I find myself asking all the time, what can we do? What can I do with this platform that we have? What can I do with 3 Clicks Media? What can I do with Vetertainment? What are the things that we can do with the platform that we've built? What can we do to help this situation? And I think that the answer to that is keep making content like this, put the word out. It would be great. It would be great if I could figure out how to grow this platform bigger, to impact more lives and more veterans, and do good things by having a platform, by finding ways to raise money to help veterans through tough times. I think that life happens. And people find themselves in situations and they don't quite know how to get out of it. And I think that that's true for everybody across the board. I think where veterans fall short in this area is that we believe that we should be able to figure it out on our own. We believe that we shouldn't need to ask for help. And I think that that's the wrong answer. And some people say that it's a societal thing for veterans, right? The society looks at you a little bit differently. Society, in some respects, holds you to a higher standard, a higher regard. I mean, after all, you're a soldier, right? Like you guys have been trained to deal with this stuff. You hear comments like that every now and then. And the answer to that is, no, they don't really train you how to deal with this stuff. They talk about it. It ends up being a 55-minute or a 50-minute PowerPoint presentation that somebody from the unit gives. And then in our unit, whoever was given the training would ask the question, does anybody here have anything they want to talk about? If so, find me at lunch or find me after this and let's talk privately. And we're here for each other. But nobody wants to be seen as the guy that went to ask, hey, did you catch that? So-and-so went over to talk to Master Sergeant Fuzzy Nuts. He must be suicidal. Nobody wants to be that person. And I get it, especially in combat arms units, infantry, grunts, scouts, field artillery, things like that. But overall, being a United States soldier means a lot to a lot of people. Some people, they don't give a shit either way. Some of them don't respect the military at all. And okay, if that's you, then that's you, whatever. People that are in it hold themselves to a higher standard. At least that's what we're taught to do. And when you find yourself not living up to that standard for whatever reason, whether it's your fault or not, that's tough. It's tough for people to deal with. And so then they find themselves in this position where maybe they can't pay their rent again this month, or they're going to lose their car, or they get into custody battles with whoever the other parent of their children are. And sometimes it seems like all is lost. And sometimes people have this idea that, well, if I was gone, it'll just be easier for everyone. Like it's not easy. If you were to ask my wife, and if she was comfortable enough to share her thoughts, I believe that she would tell you that sometimes it's hard to be married to me. And probably some of that is just because of who I am, not necessarily just because I'm a veteran. But she would probably tell you that at times dealing with my military stuff is difficult and it's frustrating. Sometimes maybe she feels alienated. Maybe she feels like she's trying to deal with this alone, how to help me, or how to just to cope with the things that I go through, or that I say, or that I do. The way that I approach life is different. It's different than her for sure. We've done a really good job, I believe, at learning how to communicate better, and how to just allow some things to happen. And I think it's hard for my wife at times to just stand back and just let me deal. Let me go through it. And I've told her before, sometimes you gotta just let me go through it. It's not easy. I'm sure it doesn't, it's not helpful for her to hear that, because she does want to help me. She wants to take care of me. She's a mom, right? And she has that instinct, and she wants to make sure that I'm okay. And sometimes I just can't tell her, hey, I'm okay. Sometimes I have to just fucking deal with it on my own, on my terms. And I think that she would tell you that that's difficult. And I'm sure that if we had a whole lineup of wives of or even husbands, spouses of veterans in this studio, and I were to put each of them on camera, I'm sure that all of them would be able to tell you about struggles they have dealing with their partner. But the one thing that I will say about my wife is she's always there. Even when I piss her off, even sometimes if I lash out and she feels disrespected, and we have to talk about that, and we have to come to terms with that and smooth it over. If she's sad about watching me go through whatever it is I go through, whatever the situation is, no matter what, she's always there. And that's something I never, no matter what happens, I'll never be able to thank her enough. I'll never be able to acknowledge her enough to let her know how much I appreciate, even when I tell her. And so I believe that spouses of veterans are different. They're different people. And it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of understanding, and it takes a lot of trial and error to coincide in a way that is healthy, that we can build our relationship together. And so some people just don't have that. Some folks don't have spouses who are supportive. Some people don't have anybody because they want to be alone. They alienate themselves, or, you know, maybe they're just alone because they're tough to deal with. And so I, for one, am very thankful that I have a relationship that's supportive. It's tough sometimes, but she's always there. And I believe she always will be there. So, babe, if you see this, thank you. And I love you a lot. But for those who don't have it, let's try. Let's make an effort this month, and always, not just this month, to check in and see if our battle buddies need any help. Do they need anything? And sometimes just that phone call or just that text message, just to say, hey man, hope you're doing all right. Let me know if you need anything. That reassurance that you're not alone would help a lot. And so moving forward, I hope that these discussions about programs and resources for veterans who are having a tough time, I hope that these things start to include the veteran community more, because I believe that we're not going to really get to a concrete answer until we start hearing from the mouths of the people who are suffering, when and if they want to talk, what could help. And so let me also put this call to action out. If you are a veteran who is feeling some type of way, first of all, call somebody, ask for help. If you need to, email us. My email address is richard@3clicksmedia.com. If you need anything, email me. If I can help you, I will. I can definitely lead you to resources. I can definitely have a conversation with you. I can be empathetic. We can talk. We can do whatever. But definitely reach out, because you're not alone. You don't have to feel alone. And many of us know that when it gets late and those demons come in the night, that it can be difficult. It can be hard to handle. But you have to remember, and you have to understand that you're not by yourself. But sometimes you got to open your mouth. Help is just a few words away, or help is one phone call away, or one hug away. Whatever it is, help is there for you. And so maybe this is how we combat it, right? And maybe we just keep pushing out reassurance that you're not alone, that there's somebody there to help you, or at least lead you to somebody who can help you better, whatever that looks like. So I don't know, man. We could probably just nickel and dime and talk this thing for hours. But I guess the moral of the story that I wanted to put out today, as it relates to Suicide Awareness Month, is that the number of veteran suicide is not declining rapidly. Has it gone down? Apparently it has. But I also think that it's misleading, because we don't lump in overdoses. We don't lump in the dudes that get on a motorcycle and drive 100 miles an hour and miss a turn and run into a tree. I mean, all these things have happened. And so when we're not taking overdoses and accidents and things like that into account, I believe that number is going to be a little bit higher. Maybe it is still around 22 a day if we talk candidly about the other ways that veterans decide to take themselves deep. So if nothing else, let's keep talking about it. Let's check in on each other. As I said, if you can't find anybody else, or you want to talk to us here at 3 Clicks, email me. Send me an email. I'll do the best I can to help you out. But at least you'll know that you're not alone. So let's look out for each other. Let's make sure that everyone's good, the best that we know how. Because I believe that 17.6 a day could be 10 or 12 a day. It would be great if it was 0. It would be great if everybody who wore a uniform know that they're loved and they're valued, and that their sacrifice and their service meant something to somebody, if not a whole nation. And for those people out there that just don't give a shit and don't support the military or the veteran cause, well, maybe you're on the wrong channel. But it's real, and these folks need us. So let's not forget that. Let's not leave our battle buddies in the dark. So until next time, have a great rest of your day. Take care of each other. Check in on your battle buddies. Check in on those veterans that you know. If you work with them, just ask them, man, I hope you're doing okay. If you need anything, let me know. I know it can be hard sometimes, whatever the case may be. Find your way to let them know that you're there for them. And on the flip side, if you're having trouble and you wore a uniform and you served, don't be a dipshit. Don't be a dipshit. Ask for help, because we're here. There's somebody for you somewhere. We just got to find them. But the first step is for you to open your mouth and say that you need it. All right, folks. We'll catch you next time. Have a good rest of your day.